Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the LSE Transfer. Joining me tonight is Kev, Stu, and Reese. And the night after England knocked Holland out, Colombia knocked Uruguay out, and Darwin Nunez tried knocking everyone out. Welcome, boys. How was your night last night? Obviously, big football games going on, lots of drama. Are we missing club football yet, Kev?
I think we are. I think as a nation, it was good that England won. For me, not personally, but I can see why everyone's talking about it. I am starting to miss it now because it's getting to that point where I'm thinking, wow, we're 4 weeks away, and what's my football? What am I going to watch for the next 4 weeks? So it's just going to be, it's mad, but no, it's good for the country. Good for everyone, not good for me. So that's all.
So upbeat there, Kev. So upbeat. Number one England fan right there. Number one England fan. In fact, he's actually got a waistcoat mimicking Southgate at times when he does watch Liverpool. Going for, obviously with the internationals nearly over, and the break between the games are getting bigger right now. I think that's what's realised that hang on, football's actually missing club football now, because at least before it was like every day watching football, so it sort of made it through. Reese, how are you doing? Are you ready for the final?
I'm ready for the final. Like I said, I'm back in Spain all the way, but England do have a chance only because they have made it to the final. So it's a bit annoying because they haven't played great. Like I said, the last game they probably played quite well throughout most of the game, but yeah. I'm back in Spain. I'm hoping that it's not coming home, so I can see all the upset, depressed, devastated people. Because in England's nature to fail, so I'm hoping that they just stick to that.
You know what? It's one of them games. It's a knockout game, right? We've seen Gerrard beat that AC Milan side. I said it just before I come on. We've seen the AC Milan side that it's a world class across the board. Gerrard practically beating them by himself. Anything can happen in an international game, so it could be actually coming home. That's the worst thing about it now. But again, Southgate don't probably deserve it, does it? The way it's treated, like Trent and even Gomez. Why is he even talking Gomez? Stu, last night we saw demise of Holland in the end, and Virgil Van Dijk was not happy. We're going to get into that obviously in a minute.
Yep.
What was your thoughts after that? Did you think Holland deserved anything out of that game?
To be honest, I was actually banking on it going all the way to pens. I just think can't take it away from Watkins. That goal was class. That touch and turn, and it was an awesome goal. I think it was an even game throughout. First half was definitely better than the second half, and it was close enough. I don't know which way it was going to go. I'm just disappointed that actually England did get to the final, because it means that it could be a few more years of Southgate, and it's like, oh, Jesus.
Hey, we may get a bank holiday though.
Oh yeah,
that's.
I mean, I can't get excited about it because it's him in charge and it's his style of football. It may sound stupid, but I prefer to watch exciting, free-flowing football. Like, we've been spoiled by Klopp, really, for having that style. But that's what is exciting. What England are playing at the moment, it's not, and it hasn't been for years. It's boring.
It's a bit this way. It's enough to challenge the ASMR videos you watch on TikTok, isn't it?
Yep.
Exactly. Going into tonight then, boys. Big news coming out. Obviously, Virgil had a few words last night, and some quite concerning words, to say the least. A bit on Jurgen Klopp rejecting USA in the end, in the last few hours. A little bit on Nico Williams, João Neves links, and something happened last night in the Colombia Uruguay game. I don't really know what happened, but it's just reports what's going on. Maybe little handbags. I don't know what it was. We'll get into the gist of that. But I will address it seriously, by the way, because it's definitely an interesting discussion, but it's also a very serious discussion in terms of what happened. And before we do go ahead, I hope the families and the kids of the families over there are safe and they're okay after what happened last night, and everyone's on the side of right is okay with themselves. So going into tonight then, boys, I can hear Southgate barking in the background, if anyone's got Southgate around there.
That's mine.
Anyway, going into what Virgil said last night after the England game. Emotions were high. He lost to England just before full time with Ali Watkins' winner in the last minute. Virgil didn't take it too well at all. He obviously wasn't happy with the referee's performance, but he still praised him in terms of the Romania game. But after he said what he said was very, very concerning for his future for Liverpool and Holland. So I'm going to go over the words that he said first and then get your reactions, boys. He basically said, I will think carefully this summer about what I want at club level and as an international player. When he said at club level, Reese, what's he inclining there?
I think that's just in the heat of the moment. I just think he's angry, he's upset. Obviously, he wants Holland to go through. Perhaps the ref was maybe favouring England. I'm not really reading too much into that. I think that's heat of the moment. Obviously, people say you got to keep your cool, but it's very hard to keep your cool all the time in an emotional setting when you're like playing for your country, trying to go through to a final. I'm not really trying to read too much into that. If he says something else again, and then I know it's kind of not more in the heat of the moment, I'll kind of take it more like, okay, this is quite serious. That maybe he doesn't want to play for Liverpool, but I think that's more heat at the moment.
Having said that, looking at that point of view, if he did mean it like he's saying, hang on, there's a little bit of a doubt in my Liverpool future, do you think it's coming from, like, does he see us winning anything in the near future? Like, he's getting older now. He wants to have a legacy of winning things. You come to a club like Liverpool to win things. He's won pretty much everything at Liverpool, but he should be winning more. A player like that should be in the multiple titles. You know what I'm saying? Category when it comes to defenders and when it comes to players in the history of football. That's what he wants. He wants a legacy, and you can see that he's determined to win more.
I understand that. What I would say though is that any trophies that he has won is because he's been with Liverpool. Hasn't been with Netherlands, so you can't really point at Liverpool's their problem. Maybe it's more your nation, because any of the trophies that you have won already was with Liverpool. So yeah, you would like to win some more. That's fine, but you have won some with Liverpool, so kind of be grateful for that.
Kev, do you think if he was to think like that, though, Kev, in a way, he's thinking, I do want to win more, and it's not looking likely that Liverpool will be winning this season or maybe in the season after with getting a new manager in and a new structure in again, like starting again sort of thing. Do you think it's reasonable to say, fair enough, Virg, you're right to move on if you want to move on?
There is an argument for that, but I agree with Reese. I think he's reflecting on both his Liverpool season and his tournament season. The tournament of Holland reflects the season he had at Liverpool. It started off great and then it slowly deflated and got to a point where they didn't do anything in that game last night to say that they were going to win. So on reflection, it's that the older you get and the more you go through those, the more it takes out of you. And then it's the fact that you've got a new manager and a club in transition and the ability to start again. And I agree with Reese. It's taken out of, if you listen to his interviews last night, you could tell the deflation and how much it took out of him. And the fact that they were trying to harbour him into a position of where about the referee as well. That kind of angers him as well, which you don't really see. And you see the Dutch side of him coming out in a way, and the emotions are high. And because of that, that's and that's taken out of context. But for me, I can't see it myself. I agree with Reese. If he says it in the next couple of weeks while he's away, and he mentions it again, then I'll be a little bit more concerned. But at his age, I'm not saying it because it's Virgil. He's 33, and we should be already looking for a replacement for him. If we're being perfectly honest, I think we've had a person who plays the centre back position to a state that could go as long as Pepe if needed to, because the way he plays that position. It's the fact that he is totally in control and can harbour everyone else to do his work for him if it needs to be. He's a Rolls Royce, but if we are looking, then it has to be replaced with a Rolls Royce and not a Mini Coupe in my sense. So you replace what you're getting with someone as good and as steady as Virgil. But no, it's just the heat of the moment for me. And if he does need to move on, I hope we have a contingency plan if that's the case.
Stu, do you think there should be like a warning for Liverpool. Like Kev just said there, where we should be looking to replace him anyway. Mm-hmm. So when the reports came out the other week saying like we're not prioritising centre back and we're not prioritising DM and stuff like that, like that's like a little warning saying like, please get we need a centre back in now, to in case he does end up saying, look, I'm off. Because if we get the worst case scenario is basically him saying he wants to leave for to win more, and we're going to the last week of the transfer window. We ain't got anyone in.
That's a distinct possibility. It's an interesting concept. Maybe a veiled dig at the contract negotiations and how they're going, possibly. But I think all in all, doing interviews like that almost directly after the match is finished, you're always going to be at your most emotional peak, so to speak. I always think it's a little bit unfair, especially after a game of that magnitude, to start questioning them straight away. And it's like, just give them a few minutes to like sort of process what has just happened before you react. So I don't know. It could go either way. So he is 33. The club really should be looking for somebody to come into that spot, but Virg could still go on for another 3-4 years. He's in that sort of shape, so it's a 50-50 for me. But I think at the end of the day, like the other guy said, if he starts talking about or hinting about this sort of stuff next week or another couple of weeks down the line whilst he's on holiday and stuff like that, then that's when I think we'll see the true intention of it.
What worries me is, I know it's part of the emotions. Obviously, it's the worst time to speak to someone like that. When it's just got out. But for me, it's like he's been holding it back, thinking like that as well. There could be a side to that where he's been holding it back. A bit like when you've had a bit to drink, the truth comes out. What I'm saying? When the emotions are high and it sort of triggers something, and you're like, you sort of the filter goes. Is there that worry there as well? Like he might have been thinking this for a while.
I suppose that's a possibility. I mean, it's like adrenaline overload after the game. Yeah, I mean, it could have been something that's maybe in the back of his mind. I don't know. I think with him, also taking into account the emotions of the season at club level as well, losing the gaffer that you've had for your entire Liverpool career, coming really close to doing more than one trophy in that season as well, and then coming so close to the Euros, I think that is just like it'll probably look like him as a disappointment on the bounce, and that's probably taking a toll as well. So, which I can't say to blame him. It would do, but I think he needs a good rest.
Get a tan and come back. Yeah, that's what it is. It was probably spoken on emotions. Probably spoken on emotions, but could also be assessing the last few years of his career and wants to win trophies. Take it with a pinch of salt, but time to act for the club. But exactly what we said, William. Really, it is sort of like a little warning. Say, look, we know that is thinking about his future, so we should be proactive instead of being reactive, like we always are. We need to start being proactive now and start getting people into place. So in case the worst does happen, then it's all covered for. It's all sorted out. But what I do worry about is that if he were to leave, basing it on he wants to win more trophies, and this is a Dutchman, by the way, I worry for like what Slot would think about that. What's he thinking about Slot? This is a fellow Dutchman here, so he'll know that league very, very well and what his Slot should be like. Really, and is he putting faith into Slot if he does leave? You know what I'm saying? It's definitely take it with a pinch of salt, but also think about where he could have been thinking that, but for a while, and it's quite worrying. But I think we'll just let 2-3 weeks, let him have a rest, come back. If he still thinks the same, then it is definitely worrying. That's where you start questioning what's going on. Going through it from one manager from Slot to Jurgen Klopp, then back into Jurgen Klopp era. Kev just left us. Not so long back, really. He said he's tired. He wants a rest, just like Virgil does. And then USA come along, thinking they can get him as a head coach, and he's rejected him according to David Ornstein today. Do you think that it was a bit silly for US to come in and try and get Klopp that early?
It probably does to us, but to the USA, to be able to have a little moment of trying to bring him in, you've got to try. And if USA was to bring him in, do you know what I mean? In terms of football, in terms of USA aren't as big as some of the European international teams and some of the South American ones, but they are getting up there. And why not try and get one of the best managers in the world to play and get you to come in? I think it'll be one of many of rejections that may come his way in the next couple of following months. A lot of international teams, especially after 2 tournaments, are going to be looking for new managers. There'll be reflections going on, and then a new way forward, and he will be among those conversations. So we're going to have to get used and adjust to the fact that this is going to come out of the blue. Some people are not going to like it, but we've got to admit that he is going to take some time as a sabbatical. Remember rightly, he only took 4 months before he took the Liverpool job. So it depends what comes up, and I think with 2 or 3 months down the line, we may see him moving on to an international club. Hopefully, if it's a European club, again, I'm not that bothered. We've moved on. Good luck to him. And hope we play him again and we batter him. So that's the way I see it. So we all have to move on. Emotionally, it's hard to move on when someone like that leaves and has been integral to a majority of a generation of fans who have known nothing other than football and you win. Well, this is where they're going to have a true look and realise that it's not that way. It doesn't work that way and pan out that way. Especially in my lifetime, I was around to endure the Hodgson years, so that's the reason why I look so ugly and old as well. I'm only 21, but it does take a lot out of you, and unfortunately, some of us aren't ready for that to move on emotionally and are still attached to our old manager, when we need to do that anyway, because we are going to get a lot of comparisons and we are going to get a lot of fans who are going, well, Klopp never done this, and we're going to have similar to what Klopp had when Rodgers was there. Oh, look at Midders, what he done in his first season. We're going to get all that again. Do you know what I mean? So start at the loop, get yourselves together, give your heads a little wobble, and we move on. And good luck to him. If he goes somewhere, I hope it's an international team. If not, then so be it. We'll meet again down the line, but we are going to pan you all over the place, so just get used to it.
Wherever he goes, I think obviously barring like Man United, Man City, Chelsea, which wouldn't go there anyway because he wouldn't go to another Premier League club. But I think everyone at Liverpool will probably end up supporting him anyway and follow his journey anyway. And I think Hodgson's about 21 as well, Kev, actually. So he has to watch Hodgson ball a lot, so that puts him through the pace as well. Stuart says here, I don't think we should be looking too much into this. There was always going to be a big change after Klopp, and next season will be transition. And also the young players will have a big chance to get a chance. During transition, Van Dijk class and important, but the bigger picture is of a slot era, and most likely either way, it will be next season or the one after. Well, at some point, Van Dijk will end up leaving. And whether it be retiring at Liverpool or leaving in the near future to leave, we need to be really proactive and understand that's going to happen. Just the way we should have done with Salah, just the way we should have done with Fabinho and Henderson, but we didn't do that. Lessons need to be learned, Stu, don't they?
Yes. Yes, they do. As I say, we shouldn't be looking too much into this, just an emotional statement, but the club in the background should be looking at it and going, okay, yeah, we need to start preparing. If we haven't already, we need to accelerate those plans to get somebody in to, if anything, learn from him and learn
That's
the
perfect thing.
And be an understudy. I mentioned it about Salah as well. Get an understudy while they're still here. And it's same for Van Dijk. Get a young centre-back in, get him to learn from him while he still can. He's one of the best in the world at the end of the day, so who's better to learn from?
I think that's been the biggest difference between City and Liverpool in the last few years, is the fact that they've done that City have done that. The transition Fernandinho out and got Rodri in, but they didn't get rid of Fernandinho and then bring Rodri in. They kept Fernandinho in the background, and Rodri went under him. And it's an easy transition. That transition needs to be slow, and that's how Fergie gets winning title after title because he constantly refreshes his team. He constantly makes sure he transitions slowly. rather than saying "see you later," replacing you. And it's difficult. It's really, really difficult. It's difficult for any business. If you're running a restaurant and you've got a big chef, you'd rather understudy that chef and then promote them up at some point, when that chef retires, rather than the chef just leaving the hands on. You're panicking looking for someone that's at that ability. You can't. Going forward then, boys, definitely we're looking at young players at the moment. And there's two young players that have been catching eyes, especially in the tournament, the Euros. Nico Williams of Bilbao and João Neves of Benfica. We'll start with Nico Williams, Reece. He's been incredible for Spain, absolutely incredible. Again, he absolutely devastated Germany the other night. He was brilliant against France again 2 nights ago. This guy is definitely a player that Liverpool should be considering if they were to say someone Diaz were to leave. But his wage demands are putting Barcelona out of the picture. Does that put Liverpool out of the picture?
I would like him. I've mentioned this before personally. I would, but I do think with Liverpool the wages would be an issue. I could see them more looking at Andy Gordon, even though they're going to end up having to pay more. And then it's also more annoying that we're probably going to wait before we do anything in terms of, like I said, it depends if Diaz goes. Diaz don't. I don't think they'll get someone. Whereas I still think we need someone for that right side. So ideally, somebody who can probably play left and the right, but more the right. But yeah, due to the wages,
would you get Nico Williams in or something like that, and then move Diaz to the right? Because he did all right at the right last season.
I don't know. Can Nico Williams not play both sides as well?
He could probably. Yeah, he's quite versatile, but he is mainly left. But
just say hypothetically, obviously this is not going to happen. If we was to keep Diaz and then get Nico Williams, I would more put him on the right to be like an understudy to Salah. I wouldn't put Diaz on the right and then keep Nico Williams on the left. I would keep Diaz on the left. But obviously that's not going to happen. We're not going to keep him and then get another one.
Yeah. Kev, Liverpool, Bayern and Chelsea are the ones fighting for Nico Williams called to marker. Apart from Bayern, there's not really competition there in terms of Chelsea. If we're going for head-to-head here, in terms of what we can offer them, but do you think we were going to will to pay that sort of wage for Nico Williams, or we're just going to lose out based on that?
I think it will be an element that we will see a bit of magicianry from Edwards in the fact of playing him a low ball thing, and then giving him hefty bonuses to try and sway his head. Problem you got with Chelsea is that Chelsea don't care at the minute and seem to be thinking, well, what we're going to do is we're going to continue buying players until we get a transfer embargo, which is what they're predicting. So we're going to build up our tally of players, no matter where they're from. I'm going to put them in. Bowley's, we've seen it with Bowley before. He's willing to pay the wages. He's willing to put them on long-term contracts. He's willing to do what he can to get those players in. It then comes down to the mindset of the player, if he wants to go for money or if he wants to go to learn how to play football and be a leader. And that's the difference with both clubs. It's nice to think that we are in the conversation. My only concern is that we are heavily weighed on that left-hand side. And I don't know how or physically we can play a formation with the amount of players that can play on the left-hand side or prefer to play on the left-hand side at the minute. If things stay as they are, I would like someone in on the right-hand side, albeit if we can harbour a Nico Williams or a Bakayoko who can play on that right and can learn from Salah. But the problem you've got with these players are playing at such a high level, it's hard and difficult to say to them, right, well, you're going to be an understudy to Mo Salah this season and your game time is going to be reflected in that. And that's where the problem comes with the likes of Nico Williams. I dare I say Lamine Yamal, who would be absolutely fantastic. But that's where we need to and that's my only concern, is when you're going for a high profile player that we are, is asking them to play as an understudy to someone who we deem as Messi, like in a sense, and whether they're willing to do that. If they can, then superb, more than willing. And then you're young enough and you got the potential to go on and have an illustrious career as Mo has. But some people don't like that. They don't like that opportunity to, or see as an opportunity to see as a downside. And that's where Chelsea come into the picture.
I think you're absolutely spot on regarding the Salah understudy thing, because you really, if you were going to get a right winger, you're looking at probably someone potentially to be like not Salah levels, but going up to that world class level, rather than someone that's sort of hitting there sort of now. I think it's more left winger, that sort of thing, where you get rid of Diaz and get better.
Yeah, the problem you've got is with Mo Salah, the problem that Barcelona have with Messi. They're trying to replace the player of where he is now, but we don't remember where he's come from. We never bought Salah in the levels that he did. We bought a player with the potential to reach that if he done X, Y, and Z, and that's where the money ball came in, and we brought him in. We need someone of Mo Salah when we first bought him, someone who's done it in other leagues, is hitting around about 15, 16 goals a season already, but has the potential and the peak to go on further and make those figures into even double those figures. And that's the issue we've got. People are trying to go like for like. I don't know anyone in the world at the minute who can come in straight away who has the ability of Salah and has the goal levels and assist levels of Salah consistently over the last 4 or 5 seasons. There's no one out there. So therefore you have to look and reflect as to what the player was when we first bought him and how we bought him and what he was doing then. Only then would you then be able to have the opportunity to see if that person has the ceiling to move on or if not. And that's where the likes of the young players that we're being linked with on the wings are of that kind of similar ilk, of those players at the start of the career who could potentially get to the and rise to that. And that's what we have always been, with being the one who can bring in a talent and see the rawness and turn it into an oyster and make them be absolutely majestic in that position. And everyone got wax lyrical as to how the Liverpool do it when it's easy. You just look at the player as they are now and the potential and bring them in based on and that's where the data analyst comes in. And that's where you hope we benefit from that.
Stu, how important is it for someone to come in to be an understudy Salah rather than a replacement? Because just think, you're coming in, you've got plenty of potential as a youngster. Say you're 21 years old, but you're smashing it in the European League, and you've got plenty of potential. You're replacing Salah. The pressure on that alone is just ridiculous. Would you rather, as a 21-year-old coming in, be an understudy anyway?
To me, it actually makes sense to do it that way. You're right in saying, like, so if Kev's right. I can't actually think of an out-and-out replacement. If we were to swap Salah for somebody right now with the same output, I can't
You're dropping down here.
Yeah, you're dropping down a level to get somebody in. So it makes sense to get Salah signing a new contract and then bringing a young winger in, 20, 21-year-old, something like that. Nico Williams. My pick would have been Bardghji at Copenhagen, but he unfortunately got an ACL injury, so that kind of scuppered any chances of that. But I think it fits the club model as well. The fact that we are signing like youngsters to come through the academy system, and we're being really serious about it. You just have to look this week with that young lad from Chelsea. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but there we go. Bringing in potential understudies for the first team players in these positions through our own academy system. So you can see where the club model is to go young and do it that way. But they've just got to pull the finger out now and sign somebody.
If Reece does go to sleep, guys, please, he's watching the England rerun from last night. We do apologise. From one class, Reece, whilst you're there, whilst you're awake, from one class youngster to another class youngster, João Neves, Reece, 19 years old, Benfica, defensive midfielder. Now, this guy's a talent. This is the kind of talent like Liverpool should be looking at, shouldn't they?
Yes and no, because of the age as well. I think even though he's a talented player, you've got Bisech there as well. I would rather someone a bit more experienced. I'm just more thinking about how much you're gonna have to pay for him, and like I said, and then he's probably gonna need bedding in period, like to adjust to the language if he's got a family, to bring them over to get settled in and stuff. I think he's a talented player, but I would like someone who's a bit more experienced, a bit more up to scratch. Ideally, if there was someone, I can't think of someone like maybe in the Premier League, I would have maybe said a Paulinho, but he's just gone to Bayern. But
yeah.
like that,
I think Paulinho would be perfect last year.
Someone who wouldn't need a bedding in period, who's kind of ready now, and then because I'm seeing we're being linked with Emerson again, but then I don't know. I have a feeling they might not get a DM. I have a feeling it could be Tyler Moore and Besage and Endo. Even though I don't fully agree with that, it looks like he's going to give quite a few of the young players a chance. Even I saw, is it the centre back? What's his name?
Yeah, Sepp Vandenberg. Yeah.
That he might give him a chance. He's done all right in a couple of the training sessions. So, but yeah, me personally, like I said, I would like someone a DM a bit more experienced. I know they will say we've got Endo, but someone in the middle there, maybe like a 27, 26, and then Besage can kind of be underneath the.
See, Caicedo would have been the perfect one. He's like 23, 24. He's not too old, and he's not, he's at the perfect time where he's starting to hit his thing. And we could have rotated him and Endo.
He would have, but he made his bed. He made his bed, and then now he's got to lay.
His mum made his bed. His mum made his bed and broke the bed at the same time. I don't want to be anywhere near an £80 million Benfica player at the moment. Kev, do you agree?
To be honest, I kind of agree with Reece, and I don't. I agree with where he's coming from. I'd like someone with a bit more experience and a bit older. But there's part of me that thinks, from what I've seen at Benfica, I haven't seen much of him in this tournament because he's been on the bench. So his bench technique is good. But other than that, I think for what I've seen when he's played for Benfica, he's a quality player, but that's in the Portuguese league, and he looks great. He's 19. He's again one of these high-profile players. There's another one at Turkey, Arda Güler, but I think I think he'll end up going to Borussia Dortmund because the manager's Turkish. That name, Sahin, is it? Who used to be at us for half a season?
Oh yeah, no, it's Sahin.
Yeah. So there's an element of me that I kind of want a young, hot, hybrid, highly rated potential youngster, but then there's part of me that agrees with Reece and goes against that. So I kind of contradict myself. So
I get you. Yeah. But it's the price of like £80 million for someone that is just a big risk, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is. But that's what you get when you start messing around with the likes of a Nico Williams and a Bakayoko and all these young players that were being linked with. You know what I mean? At some point, I think Edwards will pay for the right person, and that will be data driven as usual. So unless João Neves is hitting the numbers that Michael Edwards wants, then at the end of the day, I don't care if it's 180 million. It's not my money, so I don't have to remortgage my house to pay for it. So no skin off my nose.
Electric Dreams. If this is a tip, please gamble safely. Graded as one of the highest graded centre backs in Europe, so I'm sure Slot wants to see him play that. I think Slot will want to see everyone in training, but for Slot to come in and say, "I don't want any transfers," I don't think he'd think that. I don't think any manager would think that. Managers that have their own visions, and if these players that are coming back, like the loan deals at Vandenberg, if they were good enough, I think they'd have been kept in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So. Would Klopp have kept Vandenberg, for example, or would he wanted him to go on? Give Slot time to see him in training and maybe pre-season a little bit, but we don't want to leave it too late. If we do need that changes, if we do need those actual transfers coming in, do not leave it too late. So we don't want it to happen like we did last season and the season before, where we're bringing players in when the season started. We brought Endo in like 2-3 games in, didn't we? We played McAllister at 6 for a bit, and then Endo had to adjust then to the Premier League, which is even worse. And there's another more games and McAllister playing at 6. It's just a waste of time for me. João Neves, Stu, does he tickle your fancy?
Yes, yeah, definitely. But at the same time, he's kind of the same with what we've got in our youngsters already. So does that mean one of our youngsters is going to go at the same time? Well, he plays in that same style as Bajcetic and Morton. They're two very similar players. And then we're going to bring in Neves as a third one. Okay, but that means then one of the other lads will have to move on. So it's a question, where does he fit in? Because he's not the player I think that we need. We need a proper hard tackling DM. It feels like a lazy link again, sadly. I'm not saying he's not a talented player. I would not say no if we did sign him. It's just a case of where he's going to fit in more than anything else.
You know what? There's a lot of les journalism going on at the moment, and I can't stand it. You could tell it's les journalism just because it's easy to link these players to Liverpool, and the Feyenoord players Kev's laughing because he knows it's true, and he probably thinks it himself because the Feyenoord players being linked. It's such an easy link, and it's not proper work. These journalists should be going out there and getting the proper sources and the proper the links properly because. Kev said it plenty of times. Like Kev, they've got families to feed. They've got a blue tick to keep going. They've got the algorithm to keep going. But come on, you don't get journalists for that.
No. But it has been really difficult. You've got two major competitions going on at the minute with the Copa America and the Euros. So it was always going to be on a side and front. I would have ideally would like to have seen us do some kind of deals prior to the Euros.
Yeah,
the issue you've got as well is that you've got an early start of the season, which is August 17th. And Arne Slot's going to be in a position where he is going to be, he's decided he wants to look at everyone. And that includes academy players and the youngsters. And quite rightly so, he's got the right to do that. I think we are going to go late in the window and probably close to the end of the window as what Richard Hughes determined.
Initiated, didn't he? He said,
yeah.
Hinted at it, didn't he? Yeah.
He has, but I can see the cog starting to move once this weekend is out. Once the Euros has been done, you'll then start seeing a bit more action, possibly a bit more movement. Not necessarily next week, but probably a week later. But that's when you'll start getting the actual. I think what's difficult for Liverpool is that everything's close to everyone's chest, and I think one of the journalists, I think Austin, acknowledged it, that it's difficult to get anything out of Liverpool at the minute as to what their priorities are and where they're looking. So it's an easy hit for Liverpool because the fans are that passionate and want something. We are patient, but we're not, because we want something to happen now. But we're trying, we're holding on and we're sitting on our hands. But at the end of the day, we want to sign in, and we don't want to hear the manager saying, right, well, I'm going to look at Sepp van der Berg, I'm going to look at the under-18s, I'm going to look at the under-21s. It's not what you want to hear as a fan. You want to be hearing, right, well, yeah, I've identified a few places. Richard Hughes is going to try and make that happen the next couple of weeks, and we'll hopefully have someone through the door before the start of the season. Everyone will be happy, but it doesn't work like that.
The one thing that worries me, mate, is, when you said, like, he's giving these players a chance. He wants to see him first. He's been watching. Surely he's been watching us for months prior. He knew he was Liverpool manager a few months ago.
Oh yeah. And what I like about what he's done is he's not only looked at our games, he's also looked at the training as well, and he's already changed that already. The last test is gone completely, and he's now brought these 6-minute runs in, and which is similar to what So he's already tweaking things to the way he wants. I think he's coming. What I've seen already, he comes across as someone has got a character, someone that everyone can adhere to. He's getting involved in the training sessions, which was probably something that Klopp never did. So it's different. It's a bit of energy. I quite like it. I don't mind how long it takes, because this is the worst time to be coming in as a manager. Two cup competitions. You're not going to get many of your players back till at least 2 weeks, maybe a week before the season starts. That is difficult, as well as trying to determine where you stand with players and etc. like that. And James makes a great point. We've got I'm fascinated to see how many injuries we do get with everything that's now changed, and see if with having a doctor and with having certain personnel in fitness coaches, if that changes anything and changes the model and how these injuries have happened. I'm hoping that's the case, but it's difficult for slots. This should have happened last season, in my eyes, in my view, if we were going to do it with hindsight. This season is just tough. You've got too many things going on outside of a normal domestic season, and you're not getting players back. You need everyone to be back at the same time, and we go again. The problem is he hasn't got that time, so he has to be given time to be. It's all very well watching on a screen. There's probably YouTube channels where I look great for what I say, but there'll be many others that will go, no.
You mean this one?
He's hopeless. Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's easy to do that. You need to see it in flesh. You need to see how that players reflect and how he's reacting to what you're saying on whether he's got the potential and checking the data analysis to what you see. So he does need that. He does need that time. Sadly, that means that it's going to push certain transfers back to at least near the end of the transfer window. But I have plenty of patience. I'll judge it at the end when the transfer window closes. Is the only way to do
that. Stuart says here, would we all take Gordon if Diaz will go in younger, local and better finisher? I'd have him definitely on the left if he's direct, and seems to have matured massively as well. Gordon definitely is. If Diaz were to go, Gordon's definitely up there in the competition. Nico Williams, we've already spoken about it tonight as well. Just before we do go into the chat about Uruguay and Colombia last night, please make sure you do like and subscribe to the channel. Hit notification bells on. We're live every night at 7 o'clock. Changed, obviously, for the viewers. I'm hoping we stay at 7 o'clock because it's a nice time as well, I think. It's a nicer time. Make sure you go onto our channel and watch all the videos as well, all the videos that we record as well as the live ones. We have some great content coming out in the near future as well. How are you doing, Jay? Is Jay joining in the chat tonight? And Jay, perfect timing, really, because your favourite player, Darwin Nunez, got into a little scuffle last night. I'm going to address this because it needs addressing the way it needs to be addressed here. So basically what happened was Uruguay lost. Colombia fans were being aggressive, they were being disrespectful, they're being downright disgusting, if I'm honest. They were putting people in danger. They were putting the families of Uruguayan players in danger as well, which is completely, it's beyond disgust, because for me, people are actually not being in stadiums. They shouldn't be in society doing what they're doing. But Darwin Nunez obviously reacted. We know he loses temper quite quickly. We know he has a short fuse and reacts the way he reacts. The big controversy right now is, did Darwin Nunez go too far? And I'll address it first, where if the families are in danger, and being a family man myself, if my family's in danger, I will do anything, and I mean anything, to ensure they're safe. Whether that's fighting back someone, I will do that. However, what I see as is when the family got safe onto the pitch, Nunez going up there and doing what he did the first time, I think that's acceptable and justified fully, and he should protect his family at all costs, and I mean all costs. However, when his family's there on the pitch and everyone's safe, I think as a man you step back and you say to yourself, hang on a second, do I want to make this worse? Or do I want to go protect my family and stay with my family to make sure they are safe and get out of here in a safe place? And that's where the line, I think Nunez may have crossed, where he went up there 2-3 times. He went up there 3 times in the end, throwing chairs. And what you need to realise is when you're a bit more mature in your life, you realise, hang on a second, there's certain things that you push and there's certain things that sometimes you step back a little bit and say, hang on, it's understandable that Nunez did what he did. However, there's certain lines you can't cross for me. Kev, what's your initial thoughts on what happened last night?
The problem you've got is, and I think Liverpool's approach is the best approach, is is you need to dissect as to what actually happened. We've seen loads of things on social media of certain elements of, and let's have it right. Nunez wasn't the only one, and he was late to the party because there was a lot of other players that were up there. It's a difficult position because I think emotions in people, and this is where it gets subjective, because certain people will say, well, I would have reacted the same way as what Nunez does. Some of us would have had a bit of hindsight and thought, well, maybe after the second goal I wouldn't go up. Some would say, well, I wouldn't be throwing objects whatsoever and I wouldn't have done it. I think if it's your friends, your players, what should happen is there should be an investigation as to why there was no police or stewarding in place around that. If alcohol was part of the element, we need to understand what was the negating factor as to what instigated it all. Once we can have that, and that will only be clear by the cameras, not people on social media. I think he kind of overstepped the mark. I think his emotions, I think maybe once you can do it, it's a bit like when a burglar comes into your house. You have the freedom to do what you want to, but once he leaves and you start running after him, then that's where it's then caused. It then depends what the law dictates as to what it is. I think FIFA needs to have a word about the ground as to why there was nothing in place and secure for the families who were there. Why there is the element of some Colombia fans. I don't think it was all of them. I think
I do want to address that also, because someone put in there it was 5-10 people. It's pretty much the same in every single fan base. You get club fan base and international fan base. There's a group of individuals that just completely shouldn't be part of this football society, if I'm honest.
So when you take that into account, and if, as what Jay just said, his family were not in danger, then in fact, what Jay said twice, it changes our transfer prospects going forward. And it also then, as I say, he could be facing further damage for what he'd done because of what he was throwing and his objects. I tried to mention, well, do we know how many he actually punched and thrown at and how many actually hit people? Is it the same as what his goals to shots ratio is? It could be low, so we could have a lenient ban. But again, at the same time, having reflected on that, you can't actually look at this and see it in a joking way. I think it's serious as to what he's done. I think it's not the first time we have things going on with Uruguay. We've had, what Suarez done in 2010 for the handball and the ball, staying out on his reaction. That enticed the crowd. You got his bite as well. That caused him to leave. That was the second bite of the season because he bit the Chelsea player. And people will look at it before and will go, Uruguay again. And the stereotype will stick. I think he's naive in what he's done. I think his emotions got the best of him. And I don't think... I think this could change drastically if what I think may happen is going to happen to him, sadly.
You know what? It's really hard. The worst thing we can do as a club is turn our back on him right now. In terms of, I think he might need help. In terms of, this isn't the first time that he's lost his head, and that's the thing. And I'm not saying this. Certain things would justify what he did last night. Going to protect his family and friends, and his friends and his family of his teammates as well. But then, obviously, the chair throwing, and Register says that he didn't throw the chair. He actually did throw the chair, but, there were stewards there trying to stop him as well, and did actually throw the chair at the stand in the end. But certain things like that, there's marks you don't step over, and if it pretty much is, it's a criminal act. And as much, we can't support that as a club, but we've still got to support him as a human being, I think, on this level. We've got to see him as a human being, and if he needs that help in terms of, managing his emotions like that, then we need to give it him. Stu, what's your thoughts on the whole situation?
Well, I'll say first things first. As long everybody, at least everyone's safe, and nobody did end up getting hurt. Not seriously, anyway. But I think the first thing that's going to happen is investigation has to be done by FIFA as to what happened. Where security were or anything like that, I have no idea. They just vanished, disappeared. I think penalties need to be put against Colombia and the fans as well. Nunez was well within his rights and justified to react the way he did. I would have done exactly the same thing if it was my family in that situation. But I think in reflection, as I've seen more about this today, the after effects, obviously, he still got the red mist down, grabbed the chair, tried to throw it in the crowd. Yeah, that's probably going too far. He should have been taken away from the situation entirely with his family. While they were still on the pitch when they were all together and they couldn't get them off the pitch again, I think that should have been investigated because surely they should have gone down to the changing rooms or evacuated off that area as well if you still got the fans there. So there's a lot of questions that need answering, and it's going to take a while to get those answers. But from the club's perspective, I'm inclined to agree with Kev on this one. That it could change Liverpool's policy on how they deal with Nunez. You're right in what you're saying that they should support him as a human being, but business at the end of the day. This may be the straw that breaks the camel's back, so to speak, and it could end up accelerating a decision that they didn't want to make. But who knows? Interesting couple of weeks ahead, I think, for this one.
It's certainly a difficult situation because as a person, obviously, that's got a family, and seeing that happen, obviously, if the first thing is to protect your family, and that's first and foremost. So you see it as that, and you sort of justify that, and it's absolute justification from doing that in the first place. But also, if I was on, if I went out with my partner and I went out and I got into a fight, or self-defense, I won't then go, if they're on the floor, I won't then go kick them on, kick him in the face, and then further the altercation. I won't then go start on his mates. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to step back and say, hang on a second. If I go in this here, he could have made that 10 times worse, by the way. If they reacted even worse than that, they could have actually way worse than that if they went after them. They could have actually flooded the pitch, and then the families are in danger. When really, he did the right thing initially, and then if he came back onto the pitch and protect his family and get his family out of there, then nothing happens then. I don't think it gets any further. And then he's stood up for what he stands for. He's done what he does initially, first, justification, but then he's not getting himself into more trouble and possibly further creating more trouble from the Colombians. To me, I think it was, like you said, I think the word naive is definitely naivety in there. I think he does need help in terms of processing certain things and reacting certain things the way that is definitely more of needs help further, maybe psychology help or something like that. Reece, where do we go from here then with Nunez? I think, like Stu said, clubs taking it where they're saying what happens with the investigation first, which is perfect in it, Reece, really.
No, I think you definitely got to investigate. Obviously, I understand why he acted in not the whole situation, but to protect his family, because I'm very family oriented. So similar to what you said, Damon, in that moment and when you're in that zone, I'm going to do whatever it takes to protect my family. Obviously, we know from previous that he's got a hot head, or he kind of reacts more emotionally than logically most of the time. Hence why even with Klopp, I think somebody was in the chat, he always used to kind of chat about him like a boy, like he's still he's not really matured that level. I think we've got to wait and see with the investigation. Hopefully nothing major comes off that, but yeah, it's not cool to be going back for more. Your priority should have been obviously your family. Where's the security? Where's the police? They should have kind of got him, all the players and their families, like off the pitch to safety. But then also, I think there's something that we haven't even looked at. You got to think. I don't think it will, but you don't know if that affects him and Diaz's relationship now as well, because Diaz is Colombian. Obviously, I shouldn't think so, but based on how you reacted, and obviously there's quite tempers flared between like both the team's fans and stuff. That could be a bit tricky if Diaz stays. So that relationship might be looking at each other a bit differently, or Diaz more looking at Nunez differently if you're looking at it when he threw the chair at the Colombian fans.
It's definitely a situation we didn't expect to happen, put it that way. And I feel sorry for those that are in charge of the club to focus on this and have this to deal with, because it's just like, you know, for example, you know, working in school and an ed teacher's like, something happened, trouble happened, I didn't need this today, you know what I'm saying? This is the last thing I needed today. It's just I've already got work to do as well. But it is a tricky situation. Again, you got to put right punishments in place and treat it right, but you also got to remember the human beings and make sure it gets the support it needs, and make sure again, like the Diaz and Nunez situation, make sure that's okay and everyone's all right in terms of that, and the families are okay as well. Probably throwing the chair at Luis's dad now. Okay. You know, I'd love to know where Luis Diaz's dad was. But he was right at the front of that. You know what? It's one of those things. I think we'll let it play out, and we'll see. Also, the FIFA investigation. We'll see what happens in there. They'll have CCTV. They'll have video evidence from everywhere, and whatever happens, you know, whatever punishment he gets, you got to just take it. As simple as that. You got to take it. You know, mistakes are made sometimes, but what I worry about as well is, which was overlooked last night, funnily enough, and I knew it would be. And as soon as I saw the fight night, I knew this would be overlooked, and that's Nunez's performance. And again, he had a poor performance, 3 performances in a row now for you guys. Had really, really underperforming performing ratings, and 4 shots again, Kev, and not 1 on target. Is that a bit of a worry now?
I think that's Nunez. I think he has mental. Well, I'm not going to say that. I just think he has issues when he's
not calm. Yeah, he's not calm and collected, is he?
No, he's not, and he doesn't choose the right way of dealing. The right shot at times. The goal against Brentford, for how good it is, and I remember Jake saying it, and I tend to agree, and I've heard other commentators say he doesn't. The way he finishes is a 1 in 20 chance. What he should have done is took it around the keeper and slotted it in.
Yeah.
So, you know, and people go, yeah, but he's got that in him. It's difficult with Nunez. I think what helps the situation up until what happened last night is you had the player with 3 years left on his contract, still 24, coming up to about 24. So this season was a freebie for Slot to go, right, well, you're our man. Let's see how it goes. I think that may have progressed a little bit further now, and he may have to find an alternative, depending on what happens with Nunez. But I tend to agree with Jay. There's a lack of football and IQ. His brain and his feet don't match up. His legs, at times, he's like Bambi on ice with the ball. And then there's times where he doesn't think what he needs to be doing. I'd like to give him an opportunity. I think there's a player there, but I don't know. Since he's come to us, I don't think he's been a Liverpool fit. And I don't think we've adapted to him, but we wanted him to adapt to us. And that's where the issue's been. I think that, you know, people talk about the language barriers. That shouldn't be difficult. But again, he's not doing the right things in the right manner. He should be learning the language. He should be, you know, listening. He should, you know, there's all that going on. I just think the step up from Benfica to Liverpool has been a huge step that he's still trying to get up.
There's the chance at Brentford where you said, you know, he came out today and he lobbed him.
Yeah.
But he had a similar opportunity against Atalanta where he should have gone round the keeper. It was clearly he should have gone round the keeper. He tried thinking it, didn't he? And it didn't go anyway. He went straight at the keeper. And it's right. He's making the wrong choices.
There is that, but as a striker, there's a go-to opportunity that you'll always go to. There's always your opportunity. So, you know, we don't really like cutting in from the left and breezing into the top corner. So there's finishes that he has in his locker that he should be 90% certain they'll use if my man goes blank. All these opportunities, but we don't see that. We're not seeing that. Yeah. He's snapping at chances. He's, you know, you look at certain games where he's not looking where the keeper is and he's hitting them straight at them. Where just an inch. It's easy for me to say. I think I'd be exactly the same as Nunez, if not worse. There's elements of what he does. You go, wow, I like that. But the problem is, I don't think he fits. If he fits a Klopp side, I think if this wasn't a Klopp side, I think he fits more an Arteta side and an Arsenal than what he does at Liverpool. I think we haven't adapted to him as much, and we haven't incorporated what he does and what he does well at. And the problem you've got is you've got a player who loves playing on the left-hand side, who comes in and breezes that ball in. There was elements that if you get crosses in the box, he'll be our number 9. He's not that sort of number 9. He likes playing from the left. The majority of his goals are coming from the left. The data tells you that where his favourite element is. You look at how the freedom he had against Newcastle, even though we had 10 men on the wing. He likes playing on the outside. He doesn't like being down the middle, and he finds it difficult to play down the middle. We're trying to make him into that. And I just think you're putting a square peg in a round hole, and I don't think it'll work. And that's where, this season is an opportunity to see what Slot does do with him, with the fact that he's got 3 years left on his contract. So this is not a time to be selling him, but this will be a final chance an opportunity for him to knuckle down. But I don't think we'll ever get that, though.
I think what we're going to see this season, though, is there's a lot of us saying that last chance, it's your last chance. But I think patience is going to run out really, really thin, Stu, quite quickly, don't you?
Yeah, and I've been worried him. I've said, I wouldn't be surprised if he did get sold this summer. But I think with Slot, he will get given the chance. So that Slot has got a really good reputation of being a really good man manager and coach. So he may be able to bring the best out of him. But realistically, this is his last chance, really, in my opinion anyway. This season, he has got to really hit the ground running and bag a ton load of goals at the start of the season. Or patience, as you say, is going to run out very, very quickly. Can he handle that pressure? At the moment, it doesn't look like he can. That's what is concerning.
It's not even. It's the fact that he's not even testing the keeper.
Yeah,
like it shouldn't need 7 to 9 shots a game to get one on target. No striker really does that. No proper striker really does that.
Nope.
Your elite strikers are the ones that get one chance, one goal. And if we want him to be that striker, then it needs to be that. And I think we've got to accept here that he's not going to be that. I think we know what Nunez is now. We know he's going to lose his cool. We know he's going to miss several chances, but we also know he's going to cause havoc in the defence, and we also know that he can come up with a wonder goal every now and then, and some good play now and then. So it depends if you're accepting that now. Is that good enough to go into the season, Reece, as well?
It's tricky with Nunez, like I said, because he's very emotional. I'm very much like Stu as well. I think it's last chance saloon. Yes, last season was an improvement. There was times where he was playing well, but then it fizzled out and it went back to kind of hot potato. I do think because he's quite emotional as well. He's very up and down. Like Kev was saying, sometimes some shots he doesn't always use the right shot in the right moment. Obviously, I know he scored that good goal against Brentford, but I think he was kind of just playing well, and that's quite instinctive. Most of the other times, that probably wouldn't have went in. This kind of thing where he was playing quite well. But I do think, like I said, I know a lot of people are kind of looking at it and think because we've got a new manager, it should be a transition. But I do think we're going to be challenging for most things. So if he's not kind of scoring or bang at it from the start, someone else will end up playing, and patience will end up wearing thing. I do think Slot is going to give him a chance, and I'm hoping, like I said, he uses him just where he just gets to score goals, like how he kind of did at Benfica, not having to be so much involved in tracking back and being involved in certain things like that.
I think what we all look for is just him just bagging 30 goals this season. That's what we're all looking for, you know. And the funny thing is, if he got enough chances, he could actually probably do it, but he just needs that many chances to do it. And it's frustrating because we know we can see certain things in him. But again, like, the chances he's missing is going to cost us points. And that's being absolutely honest, because he did it last season. Yeah, and defence cost us points, and not having a DM definitely cost us points. So we must dribble past in the league. But also, and it wasn't Darwin's fault we lost points, but it's still some of his misses cost us points, and that's truthful. The miss against Luton, perfect example. He missed from like 1 yard out over the bar. He can't be doing that. And I don't mind if he's doing it once every so often. People miss chances. I've seen Thierry and miss sitters, but it's often. It's like 7 shots a week. 8 shots a week and 1 on target, 2 on target. It's simply not good enough. But again, we're all willing to give him a chance. I think, the patience is going to run out quite quickly. But now the Euros are coming to the end. The Copa America is coming to the end. And congratulations to Diaz, by the way. I don't know if anyone noticed, but Diaz actually went through last night. I know it's all be about Nunez today, especially on our Twitter as well. But congratulations, Luis Diaz, for getting to the final of Copa America against Alexis McAllister's Argentina as well. Congratulations again to Trent as well and Gomez's backside for being on the bench. Well done, Gomez, backside. And we don't have anyone Spanish, so we've got some decent players still in the Euros and the Copa America as well. So we will probably end up with a winner, with both of them being in Copa America as well. Now we're ending the international break, Stu. Kev said it earlier. Do you start seeing the cogs turning now? Do you think there's going to be transfer business going to happen?
I bloody well hope so. Well, we need something for the content, for crying out loud. Instead of the same lazy links all the time. Yeah, I mean, I think when's the final? Sunday.
Sunday. Yeah.
But I'd say probably give it a week's break. It'll be slow, and then the week after, I think things will start picking up again. We're starting to see it a little bit now. I know United have announced that they're going to sign that Xerxes from Bologna today, and a couple of other signs are starting to take over. So I think it'll start gaining traction, and the clubs will start bringing more players in. And hopefully we're in there with a couple of signings as well, which would be really, really nice, to be fair.
You know what? I see like United getting a lot of stick for the signings they're doing, but they're actually improving the squad. That's what they're doing. They're improving the team. They're not standing still, and that's all they can do. That's what we shouldn't be doing either. And Kev, if I don't see a signing by next Thursday, then we'll go down the rant next week, aren't we?
No. I'll be honest. I will judge the transfer window at the end of the transfer window. There's no point getting too emotionally attached at this moment in time. I'd sooner just sit back and be patient and just wait and see what happens. I think there's an element of me that understands that there's got to be a bit of reflection on what we've got, where we need to improve. But that's a 3-way street. The Hughes and Edwards have already looked at who they think. It's down to the manager what he thinks, and it'll be down to him as to where he sees naturally where that recruitment should start and where the priority should be from what he's seen. And that will only be through the training. Now, I think we may... I think while the cogs start working, and I agree with Stu, it'll probably be the week after. We may be the week after that before we start seeing players in, because of the fact that we're going through a transition and we've got a manager who's only just starting with us, and it's a new start for everyone. So he's willing to see. But if he gets it right, I'll be made up. But I'll judge it at the end of the window rather than now, because there's no point in getting too emotional and giving people viral TikToks to put out there. So that's where I am, mate.
I mean, there's definitely a reason to be patient. You've got to be patient. At the end of the day, we've got a new transition coming in. We've got a new manager coming in. He needs to see his players. Euros, Copa America, Olympics coming up. It's huge summer in terms of getting it right as well, making sure the right player is coming in. But there's also an element of you can worry a little bit as well. There's for doubts of like, are we going to do it too late? Are we going to? I think coming from both sides, there's definitely a middle ground in this where you can see it from both sides. Where be potentially wary. I think be wary of not doing enough, but also be patient as well. Don't expect a transfer tomorrow. Don't expect a transfer just because we're linked with someone now. Just because even like if Romano comes out and says it, just don't believe it until things are a bit more evident, if that makes sense. Like Paul Joyce, for example, or Nornstein comes out and says it. That's when it becomes a bit more like, yeah, it's happening. But I think people just like to latch on to anything, don't they, Kevin? They're starving for a transfer. People go too far. People just want transfers and that's it. But then there's people that are happy without transfers as well. So I think there's definitely a middle ground, isn't there?
There is, but the problem is with a fan base, you're never going to please everyone. There's going to be some that will want players in straight away, and why we haven't done any business now? Why can't Hughes and Edwards make that decision? So you have an element of that. You have an element of me of the old school of let's just sit back and let's just wait. And as an old man as I am, do it that way. There's
21, yeah, 21.
Hodgson done this to me, but so it's that's the way I've come about it. I used to get really emotionally attached to players that we were linked with, but over the years we've been attached, and especially now we're attached to everyone, and that makes it worse. It's concerning. I think what doesn't help is social media, because people can't get away from it. They stay in the bubble all through the transfer window. You need your life. You need to give it a rest for a day or two and then come back to it. And and I think it's hard. I think what we want is we want to see what kind of sign and slot is looking for and what that player is going to be, and the eagerness is to seeing who we're bringing in and what the kind of players you're bringing in. Is he going to bring in a young player? Is he going to bring in an older player? You could say we've already signed someone in Rio Nagabona who's from Chelsea. But for me, and I apologize if I've decimated his name, but some people won't be happy with that. Oh, why are we buying youth so early? Why are we doing that? Again, someone of his ability and his talent comes around once very too often.
You gotta get them. Yep.
You've got to get them, and you got to strike when the iron's hot. So I think we will do that. I think it'll be a slowly, softly, but I think there will be a few things going on in the background, just in case things do liven up or something does come about. And I think there will be we're going to go with this. And so he's constantly in contact with Hughes and Edwards, and that's what you want, communication between all three. If there was no communication, then that's where you'll find issues and problems. But it doesn't help the likes of us, because we'd like to be told, here's who we're buying, here's who we're going to get, and we go, sound, and you can relax. But again, there'll be fans who'll be going, well, why are we only getting them? Yeah. Why aren't we getting this play? Why aren't we getting that? So you're not going to please everyone, but I'm happy where we are at the minute. I'm happy with how he's going about it. I'm happy with how he's tweaking things in training that you can see. That's showing me he's already putting a stamp on this already, which is a good sign, because that's what you want from a new manager who's taken over. So, and he's already adapting to that, and he's tweaking it to where he thinks that we can do a lot better. That's what I like to see, and he's talked well as well. We can only move in a positive way going forward. It's easy to get round up in all these transfers. If everyone had the way, we'd have about 100 players, and we'd have to get Reece doing OnlyFans for us to pay for them all. So
Reece is going to bring his tank top back out next week. When you don't mind how long it takes, you just give an excuse to fall behind. Team doesn't need doctors; it needs DM. It doesn't need doctors, by the way. But I get what you mean, Maverick. There is potential of us falling behind if we don't address certain situations, and then DM's a big one for me. I wanted a DM last year, and when you saw throughout the season, we were the most dribble pass in the top 5 European leagues. And if we don't address that situation, then for me, it's what are you doing? What are you actually doing? Now, you wanted to digress. You wanted other people to catch us up, because remember, we're behind Arsenal and Man City right now. We need to be doing the catching up. And I think we even drop even further back. We get losing Klopp and get his slot. No offense to slot, but that's just that transition thing. I'm not saying Slot's not as good as Klopp, but potentially as good as Klopp. But it's just that transition, that natural drop off. And again, the centre back. If Virgil's talk about possibly leaving, you need to be looking at that should even been looked at anyway. Potential backup for Virgil before he even said that. Yeah. And for him to say that, and he said it before. Virgil Van Dijk said it before a couple of years ago, and he said, "Look," he basically said we need to bring some players in.
Yeah, Alisson said that as well.
So he's sort of questioning the ambition of the club, and this is why I go back to this what he said earlier and think. Has he been thinking this again? Is he questioning the ambition of the club? Does he think that we're going out there to win trophies again? Because that's what he's in for. He wasn't born a Liverpool fan. He was born a football fan and wanting to be a professional footballer, and this is what he wants to do. He wants to win. Edwards runs tough ship. We do know Edwards runs a tough ship, but it's not Edwards I doubt. I think it's just the budget he works with. That's what the thing I don't like. This is how you get a new coach started. You want to get him a strong first 11 signing from day one. Slightly worried. You know what? I understand people that are fully patient, and I understand the people that are slightly worried as well. I think there's got to be a mixed bag, definitely. But I don't think people should go over the top and say, "Yeah, why have we not got a signing now? Why have we not got this signing? Why are we not getting £100 million players?" Because the best players out there are not £100 million anyway. Sometimes look at Nunez and Anthony; they were £80 million. They're not the best players in the world. So, Reece, just before we do go, what's your thoughts going into? Obviously, pre-season's going to start in just under a month now. So, do you think we're going to do any business before pre-season? Or do you think it's going to be throughout pre-season?
I still think it's going to take a few weeks. It's going to be a slow burn. I'm trying not to pay attention to it. Obviously, you're seeing some clubs sign players, like United, Xerxes. I think he's a good player. You got to remember, like I said, because of the tournaments and stuff like that, there's been back-to-back tournaments. But we also got to remember Edwards and that kind of do things silently. So when something does get announced, I do expect it to be like in coalition with each other, so like one after the other. But I don't think it will be. Somehow I feel they're going to miss out on a position. So say we need probably around 4 players. I can only maybe see 2, maybe 3 if we're lucky. I feel they're going to be like, oh, we're all right there. We'll wait, we'll wait and see until kind of thing. So yeah.
We better not wait for a DM, Reece. That's right. We better not wait for a DM.
You know how Liverpool are. They're more reactive. They're not like, that's what it seems like.
Yeah, that's it.
Or it has been like that anyway before Edwards and that come back, where they kind of wait and then come in. Because look at that player it said, I don't know if that was true or not, but the player who played that final, that Brian again, they said that we came in late for him or something like that. But it's like, why? If you wanted the player, why didn't you just try and get him from before? And so hopefully not, but I do think it's going to be it's still going to be another like few weeks. When is our first pre-season, Liverpool's first pre-season game?
I think it's 17th. I've got 17th, man. 17th of July, I think. Okay. Betis.
Okay.
No, Betis. 1 o'clock in the morning, I think it is.
I'll try. I'm going to try and find a way to watch it either. Or I'll just have to watch it. I have to watch the highlights or something.
Reece admitting that he's about to go find an illegal streaming site somewhere. Before we do go, please do make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Like tonight's stream. If you're on Twitter, come over to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the channel, watch the videos, watch the recorded videos as well as the live streams as well. We're live every single night at 7 o'clock. Guys, Liverpool fans, be patient, but also make sure we don't fall behind. That's the only thing. Make sure you don't stand still. I don't want to be standing still. And regarding the DM situation, if we're waiting for DM, then I don't know what we're waiting for because what are we waiting for? Because there's been saying options next year. So I don't understand that for me when they say they were waiting. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Kev, Stu, Reece. Have a great weekend. Enjoy football, by the way, the weekend. I'm sure Kev will get his Southgate's waistcoat ready for tomorrow, ironed and prepped for Sunday. Have a great night, guys, and have a great weekend. See you later, guys.